My name is Brandon Bagg, and I am sitting with the one and only NaRai Dawn, pouring some mezcal.
Thank you very much.
This is music called mezcal. How are you? Cheers.
I'm good. It's beautiful to be here.
I have been, we've been
L'chaim.
trying to get L'chaim.
Yeah.
No one. I'm the only person. You're like the only person that I've heard do that cheers in a long time.
Really?
I know that cheers from Fiddler on the Roof,
Okay.
which was like one of my family movies growing up.
I love Fiddler on the
Yeah.
Roof. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you act, right? So have you done Fiddler on the Roof before?
No, I mean
Oh.
I would love to, but
So that's like a dream
but-
to.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think gone are the days where they let waspy white guys play Jewish suits. But
Yeah, that ship has sailed, I think,
ship
for
has
sure.
sailed. But yeah, it's a great show. But no, we've been trying, because we were trying to get together to do this back in May.
For quite some time, yeah.
And the stars
The stars aligned.
never aligned, but now they have aligned.
They have tonight.
So just for fun, for
Yeah.
fun for me, I want to talk about star captains,
Wonderful.
because I've now had 3/4 of most of star captains.
Right.
I just need to get Gavin on, and I think I've got the whole set, right? Because I've had
Amazing.
Max on and I've had Jim on. Who am I missing?
Daniel Child.
Daniel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm missing
Yes.
Daniel. So I got to get him on as well.
We're almost there.
We're almost there.
Yeah.
But it was really fun for me. I brought this up with Jim, and I brought this up with Jim Black and Max Sapersky,
Okay.
who are other members of Star Captains.
Yeah.
The tag in our bathroom.
Okay. What? How? Okay.
So-
So I would like to hear the story, because this whole time we thought it was you like Guilt and Co.
No, that wasn't us.
You're kidding.
That was not us, and it was really funny because So for if you haven't seen the other two, listen to the other two episodes. There is Guilt and Co. There is a tag on one of the bathroom stalls that says, "Was it sitting in the back room, sipping on some good, sitting in the back room, sipping on some new ideas."
Yeah.
I believe is
the
the
record
quote.
spins. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is a Star Captain's quote.
It is from Light Work.
And Light Work we also had listed as a cocktail there.
Right.
For
I forgot about that.
For many years.
Yeah.
And we had, I had just a week before that, had a discussion with my boss, with the bar owner, about graffiti in the bathroom.
Right.
And he was talking about the broken window philosophy, right? If you go into a place and it's got a window broken,
Right.
you treat it like shit because it looks like shit.
Okay.
You go into a bar that looks dirty and gross.
not well kept, or
So he was the point he was trying to make
Yeah.
is that if you allow graffiti to build up,
right.
it compounds. It's
Okay.
it gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse.
Right.
And 3 days later, someone tagged the bathroom stall with this beautiful.
Oh, just after he had said
this
that.
beautiful quote,
Oh
and
my
I walked
goodness.
in and we all had to go through. I went through that mental thing of do I change this or do I not change
Do
it?
we
And
erase
it's just this beautiful piece of artwork.
It's gorgeous,
that's
the
been there-
font and everything.
Been there for 5 years.
That's why we thought you did it, because we're
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, that's so
Yeah,
thoughtful of them to
that was a random I'm probably not random. It's probably someone that we both know.
It has to be.
But they did that of their. I would love to find out.
I
who
would
did that.
love
I
to
would
know.
find
I
out.
thought it was one of the staff. That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah. So what's I heard from I have got an inside source.
Oh no, from who?
I heard from Jim that Star Captains has got some stuff in the works.
We've been working on our third record. It's been some kind, we took a little bit of, I don't know if you spoke about taking some time away.
Yeah,
we took a bit of a hiatus. He was in the Arctic.
At the top of the world.
He was at the top of the world. We were having a baby. We were having Isaiah, and the pandemic happened, and so it kind of forced us all to kind of.
Isaiah's 3 now, right?
He's 3 now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been a few years. And then also my mom was going through a lot of her dementia, progressing into her dementia. So I kind of just took a step back, and it was amazing because all of us got a chance to kind of go on our own paths, and it forced us to kind of focus on ourselves and gain new perspectives. And now coming back after that time period, it's just been so incredible to have different outlooks, and we've matured in many ways. And just sometimes in relationships you need to do that, in whether it's a family or like a marriage or whatever. It's like if you're building something, because we'd been working on Star Captains for the past like 10 years, like going solid, nonstop, and then to have that break, it was like we could focus on other things and develop our, our personal lives. And it was really beautiful now to come back after all that time and have stories to share. And
And you also have like all of you have so many different things going on.
Completely different things. Yeah.
It was neat seeing, because I mean, probably what is it, 4 or 5 years ago, before the pandemic, Star Captains used to be, you guys were a regular bill at Guilt & Co. Like
Yes.
you played there pretty frequently.
Yeah.
Especially when I first started managing there, I would remember seeing you guys quite a lot. And then obviously the pandemic, and then you and Max had Isaiah, and then Jim moved away.
Right.
And so now when I like, you guys played there recently, it was like 3 weeks ago, a month ago.
Yeah, just a
and
month
it was
ago.
really special, but it
was
was
so
also
special.
really weird to see, because you guys had played there as Star Captains once while Jim was gone.
Right. Yeah.
You did
you're
one
right.
show
we
there
did one
without
show there.
Jim.
Yeah.
And then you came back and you did one show without
Without
Max.
Max.
So it's super weird, because it was like, where's Max?
Now where's Max? Okay, Jim was gone. Yeah.
Yeah, but he was at home with Isaiah, I think is what you said.
He was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's been really exciting to be back now and working on new music, and and just the way that we're writing now, it's just so exciting for all of us, you know.
How do you approach writing? Because you have quite a bit. Like it's an impressive ensemble. You guys are all really mind-blowingly talented. When you guys are writing together, how is it? How do you approach it in terms of? Is it intellectual? Is it emotional? Is it a mixed bag? Is it? I mean, I mentioned this in the when I had Jim on. I randomly started talking about Tool, and now I'm thinking of it again.
Awesome.
Because I heard this interview with one of the members of Tool talking about how they don't even, because of the fact that they've grown and moved and gone in different directions, they don't even write in the same room anymore. So they all just mail each other parts.
Right. We did that actually when we were, when Jim was in the Arctic, we were like Zooming or emailing stuff back and forth, or like texting certain riffs and stuff like that. But generally when we get into a room, we're a group of best friends first. So it just, everything just flows naturally. It's like just this synergy that I've never experienced with anyone, actually. I've had it with a few people, but it's almost like we're just playing and we're like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. And then we have like, a full album later and we're like, how did that happen? And it's just so natural. I feel really grateful and blessed.
So you said this is your third album. I didn't know you had. I only knew of one.
Oh.
The one with Lightwork on it.
Yeah, no, we have New Freedoms. And then actually before that, Star Captains used to be an instrumental band. So they have a EP of instrumental tracks.
Cool. And are they all available on?
Just New Freedoms. We re-released New Freedoms recently, and Lightwork, and then the new one that's going to be coming. Yeah.
Sweet. And they're all on Spotify?
On Spotify. Yeah, you can find them everywhere. Yeah.
You good?
I'm great.
So,
how are you?
I wanted to chat about how long did we know each other before we realized we were from the same town?
I feel like forever, until you one day came up and you're like, guess what? And I'm like, what? And you're like, I'm from Tawasin too. It's just, I remember freaking out, but then I realized I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense.
Because I remember, did you know do you remember Nim Vin?
Nim Vin, that sounds really familiar.
He was like, I forget his actual name.
Okay.
But he was a Tawasin boy who was like, a goth, like metal rocker.
Okay, yeah.
They were in a band called Mr. Underhill.
Okay, yes, I do. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, it was like him and his brother, I think.
Okay.
In like the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
And there was a bunch of like, did you know the Barbers, Jesse Barber?
Yeah, I know Jesse Barber.
And were you connected to like the music scene that was happening coming out of Tawasin?
Coming out of Tawasin, yeah.
In like the late 90s, early 2000s?
Yeah. It was a really exciting time period. Were you in the music scene?
Yeah, I was in a band with the younger Barber,
No.
with Andrew Barber.
What was your band name?
Engine Light.
No.
We were called Engine Light.
Where did you play? Did you play at
I think we were called Engine Light.
the skate park or like?
Oh, well, no. We were in a band called Mr. Underhill. No, we were in a band called Lakewood Drive. Yeah, it's all very, very blurry.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
There's a lot of stuff happening. But yeah, we did a couple of like the Battle of the Bands things that,
Yeah, that's cool.
in high school. We played at like the extravaganza. Is that what we called
At the
it? Like
extravaganza.
the talent show.
At the talent show.
We did that one year.
Yeah. Man, that was a lot
Yeah.
of fun. Those are some good times.
Yeah, and Matt McDougall, he was a musician as well, wasn't he?
He was an incredible musician.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously we both know Naomi
Right.
McDougall. Yeah.
Naomi. She's
Yeah.
a sweetheart.
She is.
Yeah.
She is. Yeah. Shout out to Naomi McDougall.
Yes.
She's
We
no-
love you, Naomi.
Yeah. Even though it's not really your name anymore.
Right.
But it had been like 5 years. Like we had known each other for like 5 years before we put that together, hadn't we?
Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
I don't know how.
And I remember, like, I don't know if we ever hung out, but I remember knowing of you being next door and you guys hanging out and because I was always over at their house. So,
Yeah. She was literally the girl next door.
Yeah.
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 I was looking at the booking for New Year's, and I don't think I'd ever put together
Yeah.
NaRai Dawn and Dawn Pemberton,
Right. I know.
because you guys
I know.
are both performing New Year's Eve, and this is
I think
your
this is like the third or the fourth
time
Yeah.
doing this
Yeah.
show.
It's something we look forward to. Yeah, for sure.
It's such a cool night, and we did it
So
like
incredible.
you guys. The first time you did it was pre-COVID, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And then
And then ever since then, we've been every year.
yeah, there was one.
Yeah.
There was a couple like weird like flub years, right, where we didn't.
You mean with like the social distancing and stuff
Yeah.
like that? Yeah. Yeah, there were.
I don't remember them because they're a bit scarring, so I just try to avoid them.
I know.
But yeah, so you, what's the band for New Year's?
It's Paul Clark. Max is on keys.
That guy Max. He's
Yeah,
all right.
that guy Max is all right.
Yeah.
Scotty Verbeek, Dawn, Derek DiFilippo, and David Mergen's on sax.
That's a good group.
Yeah, it's a
Do
really
you
good
like?
group.
Do you get? I still get starstruck working at Guild & Co.
Always.
Like
Always.
having just that caliber of
I'm
talent
consistently,
around all the time.
I'm consistently blown away. Like every time I go down there, and anytime someone new comes to town, I'm always like, you have to go to Guild & Co. It's the greatest. It's the heart of the city, like truly, And yeah,
It's really neat to be
It's-
like just in it.
in it, and then just even just there to watch like
Yeah.
whoever's playing that night.
Have you always like were you like talk about Tawasin again?
Yeah.
Growing up, were you? Did you always have a connection to music, or is it something like when did singing become?
I was
Integral for you.
always singing as a kid. I was putting on shows for the neighbors. I was really lucky to grow up with like incredible neighbors where we'd all just kind of like do dance routines, and we were like, I had this beautiful magical friends when we were younger, just to cultivate like, just like art at our house and dancing, and so I was always dancing and singing, and yeah.
Yeah.
Music's always been-
Were you involved in it in any way in high school or?
I ended up joining a girls group. So what had happened was I had this really raspy voice as a kid, and I would
Really?
always, I was so embarrassed. I was like, I don't sound like, I don't know. It took me a long time to learn to love my voice. And so I had this really, really raspy voice, and I'd always lose my voice every time I'd belt and sing and yell at my brothers or whatever it was. And so my mom's like, I'm going to go take you to see like what's going on because you keep losing your voice. And I went to go see a voice specialist and throat doctor, and sure enough, I had nodules all over my vocal cords. So he told me, you need to either like, not yell or learn how to sing properly. So my mom ended up finding this vocal coach, and his name's Jan Cooper. And so when I went to go meet him, he just completely like changed my world and taught me how to sing, like more about like like breathing properly, like doing chi breathing. And he just had this unconventional style to, you know, just really open up. Ashley Ball was one of his students as well from, I don't know if you know Ashley from Haitian. She also is one of his students. Yeah, so he was just this incredible person that's changed my life. And then I ended up doing a lot of musical theater through him because he'd put on these productions.
You did musical theater?
Yeah, I love musical theater. Like Grease, I think I was Rizzo, and what was it, West Side Story. And
Where?
he would put on these productions, I think out in Surrey somewhere. But yeah, I met a lot of incredible actors and singers through him. And then one day he's like, hey, this you know, producer from Germany's coming to town, and we're putting together this all-girls group. It's all Asian girls. Do you want to be a part of it? And so I was like, oh my gosh, of course. And it was an R&B pop group called Risque. And thank goodness there's no you know, there was no Instagram back in the day, because those would all be gone. But everything basically from that time period is like, you know, buried in a treasure box somewhere. But yeah, we would like sing and dance, and I grew up recording in a studio, and I think that's where my affinity and love for being in a group comes from, is just because I loved performing with them so much and having a team, and you know.
And there's something about the ensemble creation.
Yeah.
That's just so. I struggle with that in you know, my own artistic endeavors. Is like everything that the best stuff that I've ever done has always been in collaboration with someone else.
Always.
Even like, you know, I mentioned earlier the band that I was in like way back in the day. Like the 2 tracks that I had a writing credit on were just me being like, I don't know what to do with this riff, right? And it's then you go in, and one person has like a riff that it's been incessantly running through their mind for fucking 5 days, and they don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
And they go in, and someone's got a vocal lick to it, and someone's like, hey, like, you know, starts doing like a rat-a-tat-tat on the drum, and you're like, this is really cool. And then all of a sudden you have something blooming and blossoming and growing, and it's such a neat experience to create with people, writing or with music. So yeah, definitely, I get that.
Yeah, and you always like create something that you would have never maybe done on your own, or sometimes there's tension, and you're like, let's do it this way, and then you meet somewhere in the middle, and it's something beautiful. So I love collaborating so much. Yeah.
Do you have other projects on the go right now, or?
Right now, I'm just solely focusing on Star Captains right now, but eventually, I always love collaborating, so whoever's down to normally, But it's also a matter of having time right now, because being a mom, it's like, you know, time is so precious now, and you really have to choose your windows, and I can't just be like, oh yeah, I'll meet you for coffee right now, because then I have to, you know. Yeah, so it's like, it's changed a lot.
There's a human being that...
Exactly, there's a human being that depends on
relies on you.
Totally, yeah.
So what was your introduction into Star Captains? How did that...
I ended up going to a barbecue with a friend, and I ended up sitting right next to Jimmy Black, and we just started talking about our favorite records.
Shout out, Jimmy Black.
Shout out, JB. We were just like, oh, you like Stevie Wonder? I like Stevie Wonder. Oh my goodness. And we just kind of, it was just one of those magical things that just happened so naturally. And then I was actually going on tour at that point as a solo artist, and so I was like, hey, I need a backing, or I need an accompanist to come play. And he's like, well, actually, I have this instrumental band called Star Captains. I was like, no way. And then so, we were like...
yeah, it's interesting. I didn't know that they started as an instrumental. I had Jim on the show 2 weeks ago, and I still don't know that.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, they started out as an instrumental band, and then they were playing a show at the ends, and they're like, come check us out. And so I went, and I was just blown away. And then they ended up coming on tour, and we just became best friends. And that's really what essentially Star Captains are. We're just a group of best friends that happen to play music. Yeah.
Yeah. So you were doing solo stuff before that?
Yeah. So I was really I was touring with a lot of DJs, and more in the hip hop scene.
Right.
And I really send a lot of love actually to the hip hop community, because it was just such a supportive community in Vancouver. I don't know if you're around in Van when there was a lot going on.
Like 20 years ago?
Yeah, like
Yeah, when there was like actual hip hop happening in the
right,
city.
exactly. There was just so many incredible places to go, and it was
Yeah.
just a golden time period. And
Yeah, I saw. I think I saw Brother Ali 2 or 3 times in Vancouver. I saw Atmosphere a few times. I saw Sage Francis.
what?
Yeah, there was a lot of good hip hop that was happening 20 years ago. I just assumed I gotten old and like didn't know what was cool anymore.
Right.
But if it's not happening, then I don't feel as bad.
No, there's still amazing things going on. But yeah, so I kind of was doing the solo thing for a bit, and I just really missed being in a group. I was like, I was, yeah. And so I just happened to meet Jimmy, and then the rest is history. So yeah. Okay.
So did you have a background in hip hop?
I did. In high school, I just actually the first time I ever heard hip hop music was my best friend at the time in elementary, I think it was in grade 3, came up and put his headphones on me from his Walkman, and it was NWA. And it was the first time I'd ever heard rap music. And I just was like, what is this beat? And what is this music? Like, I've never heard anything like this. And I just was so enthralled with just because I've always written poetry as well. And so I really appreciate lyrics and lyricism and just growing up in a small town too. I think music was really so important for me during those time periods. And anyway, so I'd heard NWA, and then from there on it just, snowballed from there. So I'd go to the local CD stores and tape stores. Disc and Dat or something? Yeah, Disc and Dat.
So I feel really bad about Disc and Dat because I used to steal from it.
No.
Yeah, and then they went under, and I was like,
oh, you're like, was that because of me?
I knew I wasn't single-handedly responsible for putting the place out of business,
right?
But I was like, people like me are the reason why it's not there. But I remember going there because you could buy it was a used CD store,
right? Yeah, so you could get used CDs and tape.
And do we remember CDs?
Right,
we got a few on the wall.
We have a couple here. Yeah. Did you
So-
collect CDs or tapes or?
I did. I still have all my CDs.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I do too. Somewhere
They're
hidden in a box.
in storage.
Yeah, exactly.
They're in a storage unit.
Yeah.
But I had quite a bit. Do you remember going to the record store when you were a kid?
Always, yeah.
And
Yeah.
you'd get a gift certificate for Virgin Records or
Where you could get extra CDs or records.
and you'd have $60.
Yeah.
I've got a $60 amount of money that I can spend.
Yeah.
And you'd have to go through and my favorite thing to do at the record store was to I'd get one new record.
Right.
Or CD. So the new album that was cool or hip or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could get 3 from the
the extra credits that you
from
had.
the bargain bin.
Right.
So you'd get one that was released that year and it was the most expensive one. And then I would get 3 from the 70s.
Right.
And you'd have
a whole collection.
a whole collection. Yeah. Tapes too. Remember tapes?
I do remember tapes. I remember doing.
Did you ever make mixtapes?
I was gonna say I love making mixtapes. Loved.
There was making mixtapes was there was an art to it.
Right.
You had to.
And you could tape over the little holes.
Yeah, so you could tape over store-bought tapes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally remember that.
Yeah.
Loved it.
But I remember do you remember doing this with mixtapes? You would if you were making a mixtape
Yeah.
and you press the stop button, there'd be a click on the tape. But if you press the pause button,
Yeah.
it would be a seamless transition from song to song.
Right. So it didn't have that little.
Yeah, but the thing about making mixtapes is you actually had to listen to the whole thing while you were making it.
I love that.
Right now, you make a playlist.
Right. And you can pick and choose.
You can pick and choose.
Yeah.
But making a mixtape, you had to
listen to the whole tape.
listen to the whole thing.
I miss that. And I miss also being able to, I still do it, listen to the whole album, but I miss pulling out the insert and reading, that's kind of, because everything's gone online. I feel like that's going to resurface at some point because it's so, I don't know.
I do feel like it's kind of the pendulum has kind of swung the other way.
Right.
I feel like we are very disconnected from how we consume arts and entertainment. I feel like we're very disconnected from how we consume everything.
Right.
But you're right. I remember being a kid. You got home
Yeah.
and you had the record. Like I remember going to the record, like the CD store
Right.
in H&M.
H&M, yeah, and Virgin.
Virgin.
Yeah.
And you get your CD and you come home with the book.
Yeah.
And so then you read all the lyrics. You listen to the
So
whole
exciting.
album.
Listen to
lying
the
in
whole
bed.
album, just like, oh.
As a teenager, just like staring at the lyrics, probably crying.
Right, definitely crying.
Thanks fucking understand me so much.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think I think that sentiment is coming back a little bit, but it's coming back.
I hope so. Yeah.
Like I remember, it's totally random. I remember watching this interview. I think it was with Jay Leno.
Mm-hmm.
Weirdly enough,
Okay.
he was talking about how the because he's a very famous automobile enthusiast. He's got a fucking
okay.
massive
I didn't know that.
collection of cars.
Okay.
And we're talking about like electric cars and fossil fuels becoming
Right.
like less and less of a thing that we want to use as a society.
Yeah.
And he was saying that like what's going to happen with the automobile is what happened to like horses. Like back in the day, horses were everyone needed them.
Everyone
they were
needed
the main,
them.
and now they're a
And
hobby.
now they're right. Something you just go and do. And
So it's really, really broad, weird an analogy here, but I feel like with music, there is that place for people who are really avid fans and who love music to still consume it in the way that we did 20 years ago,
there's definitely a
30
place
years
for that.
ago, and I think that a lot of people are just like, oh, click, click, click,
Yeah.
click.
We're just bombarded with so much information.
But when's the last
now.
time you listened to an album?
I listened to Yeba's album actually recently.
Totally remembered what I was going to say earlier that I forgot about.
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about "Smells Like Teen Spirit."
Oh my goodness. Takes me right back.
It's like I knew I was going to get it. No, but like so the last show that you guys played,
Yeah.
you did a cover of "Smells Like Teen Spirit,"
We did. Yes.
which I think is the first time I've ever heard you do that song.
Yeah, I think we played it. The first time we ever played it, I think, was New Year's previously, like the last one.
So I probably heard it. I was probably just insanely busy.
It's all good.
Didn't clock it. But
Yeah.
I love your cover of that song.
Thank you.
It's such a it's just perfect. It just works.
Oh, it's so much fun.
Is there like a
Takes you right back.
Were you a Nirvana fan growing up?
Huge Nirvana fan. Oh my goodness. Yes. Huge.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
They're one of those bands that they're like the Doors of the 90s.
Definitely.
They're so simple
So simple.
and so perfect
Yeah.
and so just pathetic.
Right.
Like,
But so fitting for that time period
Yeah.
when you're, a teenager and going through it,
that culture and everything that was cool was coming out of Seattle.
Everything.
It was Alice in
Yeah.
Chains.
Oh,
it
yeah.
Was Pearl Jam. It was Nirvana.
Nirvana. Yeah.
And then the Mudhoney and stuff that happened before them.
Right.
But I remember that being like a huge shift in culture, and it was on everyone's mind. It was like Kurt Cobain just fucking died.
Yeah.
And then 2 years later, Biggie and Tupac
Tupac.
died.
Yeah. No, I know. So much. Yeah. Yeah.
So were you? How about the Biggie and Tupac? Was that something that was like on your radar?
Definitely. The 90s, 90s hip hop was just so a part of like everything, and in my world at least. And that was huge, when that all went down. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember I remember being in like the day that I found out that Kurt Cobain died.
Yeah.
I think I was 10. And do you remember the like MTV News?
Oh my goodness, yes. Yeah. MTV News and also Much Music, like with all the different pop-up videos and
Pop-up video was my fucking favorite.
I freaking love it. I would tape it every single time it was
my
on.
favorite pop-up video fact is that Lionel Richie can't dance. Do you remember that
Nice.
one?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, they had to film all of his videos from like the
The waist up.
The waist up.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't
Facts.
keep
Like
the
all
time.
these, yeah.
Pop-up video.
Videos. All the
Yeah.
things you didn't know or need to know.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So what's on the? Do you guys have shows coming up? Star Captains.
Right now, we're focusing on recording the record and writing the record. So that's kind of on our forefront right now, but we're definitely planning more for sure in the new year. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, in the new year.
Yeah.
Cool. So
Yeah.
you got release dates coming up?
We have a video coming out. It's a live video actually that we shot a few years back. Like I want to say 4 or 5 years ago. And we shot it at the Space Studios, our studio. And yeah, it's a live video for Good Things Come Around.
Nice.
And we're really excited to put it out. Yeah.
Yeah. So you shot it when?
4 or 5 years ago.
So you shot it 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And then you're just releasing it now?
Because of what's going on, like it's just been the
Yeah, tell me
craziest
about that.
time
What's
period.
the-
It's like, and this is what I was saying earlier about just the hiatus that we went on. It's like, so we were gonna put it out, and then everything happened. Kind of like we ended up getting pregnant, and Max and I, and then my mom's experience of just having her dementia, and it's like I really feel for anyone that has to experience that in a family. It's like it's so challenging. It affects everybody. And my mom was my world. So it was just like, I just needed that time to figure things out. And salute to moms. Yeah. We're coming up on her, it's been a year since she passed on. But it was just in the pandemic, and it was just like so much shifting, so much going on. And it just wasn't the right time to put it out yet. And I didn't have any bandwidth left. And I'm someone that can hold a lot of energy and go through a lot. But this was like major peaks in life that are normally spread out a bit. And I think just the fact of seeing my mom and just going through that grieving process and just trying to like swim every day and stay afloat was kind of a lot, and enjoy being a new mom and all of these different things. So that's why I really personally just needed to take a big breather, step back, and just focus on every little moment and every little day, every day. So that's why it got postponed for such a long time. And the space has been super healing and super, like I've regenerated during that time period. And so much was happening that I just was going through this space of like, I'm just going to surrender to all of this because I don't know what the heck's going on, but I'm just going to focus on the good and focus on my family right now, and not just like go. Because I think as musicians, we're so used to like spinning so many plates and going to gig after gig and writing. And I know with Star Captains, we were like writing and recording and building the Space Studios, and it was just like nonstop for 10 years, and it was beautiful. But I think naturally it needed to kind of shift, and for us all to step away, or at least for me to step away and be like, oh, okay, I can see the bigger picture now. And now I need some time to kind of nourish myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you done any writing about, is that something that is it something that you can do yet? Write about your
that's
mom
been
and the loss and
it's been so cathartic that I've actually, ever since then, every song has been really about grief. And there's finally one now that I'm like able to sing and talk about. And because for the first bit, it was just like obviously really hard. And I think it was just for me to just get it out of my system and out of my body and mind and heart, and get it out on paper. And that's what music's essentially always been for me, is that place that I can go to make sense of everything and to express everything. And I think it's so important as humans and as artists and whatever, to find those outlets that we can express, not just like the happy stuff, but the things that we don't understand, or the things that are a little bit darker or sad, and that's always been my, just my restoration and my haven and place that I go to just make sense of the world and sense of my heart, and to get it out. Yeah. So we have a song called Tidal Waves that's an ode to anyone that's lost someone in the physical form. But I think it really fully encompasses my experience with grief and losing my mom. Yeah.
And she struggled for
a long,
a long time.
Yeah.
Right? It was like,
we had, and that's the thing is that I thought I was preparing for her. Like I thought I was grieving. I was like, because I know it was her time and it was so slow and drawn out, but it didn't really hit me till she actually passed. That's when I was like, oh my gosh. Like I didn't realize how attached I was to the physical form of her, even just like her hands and everything. And I've always had such a natural communication with spirit and I understand, or I not understand, but I just have a knowing about certain things, and I know that we continue on and all of that, but it just doesn't make it easier. And and I just, but it's so natural and it's so weird because I even like giving birth and then losing my mom. It's like two of the most natural things that you go through is giving birth and the process of death, and they're so similar in many ways, but they're so natural. But no one teaches you how to do either. You can read as many books as you want. You can try and prepare, but you're never prepared.
You can never be prepared.
No, and I think that's what,
it
makes you human. And it brought me back into my human self. Like, oh, this is like so beautiful in a way, that we can process this and remember the good. And it also gives you a new perspective on life. Like, I just want to live every day to the fullest, and not take anything for granted and tell people you love them, So it's just given me a new lease on life, and I really feel like this process has been about rebirth.
Makes it hard to stay mad at people.
Very hard.
You're like,
is it going to matter at the end of the road?
Staying mad at you. Like,
yeah,
you could be dead tomorrow.
Exactly.
Death blindsided me. Like it really, because
I
lost my mom as well.
Yeah.
To cancer. And I had, my great grandmother had been like the only person in my life that I'd ever lost.
Right.
And it was sad because I loved her. She was an amazing woman. Mm-hmm. But she was 101 years old. Like,
wow.
Okay.
That's incredible.
This is the order that life is supposed to go in.
Exactly.
And then my mom got sick. She died at 59. And then in that same 2-year span, I lost another friend to cancer who was the same age as me. I lost a friend to an overdose. And it's like there's nothing that can prepare you. You can't prepare for it.
No.
You just sit there going like, fuck.
Yeah.
This is life.
Right.
Apparently. But it's it does really, I think it teaches you how beautiful existence is in a really dark way.
Definitely.
And we remember. We have that. We have the ability to remember.
Yeah. And do you feel your mom around? Like, are you connected? I don't know what you believe in, or
me. I mean, no.
Yeah.
I'm not like I carry her in. I try to carry her in the way that I behave. She's a better person. She's a better person than me. So like I try to be someone that she wouldn't think was a piece of shit.
Right.
But fundamentally we believe very, very different things. So I'm just like, if I did that, would my mom think I was a piece of shit? Maybe not do that. But did Isaiah get to meet your mom?
He did, and they love each other. And actually it's so crazy because he still talks about her and he says I play with her, and he even was like, Mommy, like one day he just said like, Mom, Grandma's in heaven. I was like, yeah, she's in with the divine. And he's like, I'll see you soon. He's like, that's for you. And I was like, I'll see you soon. And he's like, that's what Grandma, he basically was saying that Grandma was saying that for me. Oh. So anyways, yeah. It's just beautiful that he can remember her and have that connection to her. Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Kids are fucking smart.
Kids are freaking brilliant.
They're crazy
amazing.
Intuitive. You're like, what does this kid know? And then all of a sudden the kid says something and you're like, oh, you're a low-key genius.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they blow me away.
How long has he been talking now?
For a year now, 2 years, year and a half. Yeah. But it's just so hilarious, and every day is exciting because he's just on the go. He's like a comet. He's like, I'm ready, let's go. And it doesn't end.
Does he take after, who does he take after more?
We see glimpses of both of ourselves, but then also he's like showing us who he is. So he definitely came here as somebody like, and that's what I think is so cool to see about kids is like, it's not really, we're here to kind of support and to guide, but essentially he's going to show us who he is. So that's been really cool to experience. Yeah.
Do you like have harbored dreams of him being a musician or being not a musician, or being like, don't do it, man, it's hard, it's really hard?
No, I'm just excited to see who he chooses and who he is and
Yeah.
who he remembers himself to be. So yeah,
Does he
definitely.
Does he show any signs of connection to music?
Big time. Like
Yeah.
he's always humming and singing songs. And I remember my mom said that when I did that when I was little. She's like, you'd always be singing and dancing and making up songs. And now he's doing it. So I'm just like, what?
He's making up songs?
He's making up songs.
Yeah,
She's
you
like,
gotta produce
like,
that shit. Get on it
hit
early,
record,
man.
like in the home studio. Yeah. Yeah. But
So is he going to be
pretty amazing.
He's going to be replacing Max at the next.
I mean, or me, I don't know. He always has a microphone in his hand, or like anything that is the shape of a microphone. So.
Oh, does he walk around with a microphone?
He grabs like the spoon or whatever.
Did you do that?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Hairbrush microphone.
Yeah, you had one of those.
I mean, I had a hairbrush microphone. I also had like everything was a guitar.
Oh, okay, that too. Yeah, he's always playing the guitar too.
Everything was like you pick it up and everything was a guitar. But no, only I never when anyone was looking.
Right.
Because I didn't want anyone to see.
Right.
It would be awkward.
That's awesome.
Yeah. When was do you remember the moment that you were like, was there any specific moment for you where you felt like a connection to music?
Oh, I mean, music's just always been played in my home or in our home, and I've always sang and danced my heart out. But I think for me, when it really hit me about music was when I was going through a really tough time in elementary, and I was, I don't like to say like getting bullied, but I was just having a really hard time fitting in because my upbringing was so magical, and I felt supported and loved, and the world was amazing and everything. And then as soon as I went into school, it was just completely different, where it was pretty traumatic, like traumatizing a bit. So that's when I really leaned into music and dance and art, because that was kind of like my way of processing things, like I was saying before, but also just it got everything out that I couldn't express, because it was really hard for me. I was a really happy kid, but it was really hard for me to express my darker feelings, or like when I was sad, I couldn't talk about it. Yeah. And so music was the way that I could do that and share what was going on, and forget about a lot of things. So it was also an escape.
What age was this?
Oh, grade 2, 3,
really?
all throughout elementary, until grade 6 or 7. And then when I entered high school, I started performing at the extravaganzas, and that's when everyone was like, "Oh, she's the singer." And then I kind of hid behind music for a long time because people knew me as the singer, and I kind of just built up this like exterior that was really tough, and like I can just get through this, and because of what I'd experienced in elementary, and I'm like, I'm not gonna go through another year of someone, telling me, like, basically just, I don't want to go through that again. So I hid behind music a lot. And so my whole journey really has been about remembering who I am and staying true to myself, and also, just like who really loves me for me, and not just NaRai as the singer, like NaRai, the singer NaRai, or like the image of what I am online, or, you know what I mean? So it's just, it's just been an unfolding of stepping into more of who I am. Because I think a lot of the time we forget so often. So, it's all about remembering.
You mentioned, just briefly there, you were like, about who I am online.
Yeah.
Did you find that transition into everything being social media as an artist? Like, how did you manage that transition? Because it used to be like you're, we were in our 20s when Facebook came out.
Right, but it was actually MySpace that I started with. And MySpace was really cool because it had like the music player. You could make it all like, you design it the way you want. And I met so many incredible people. When I moved to the city, prior to moving to the city, I was going to Columbia Academy for recording arts right after high school. So I didn't really know anybody. And then MySpace was new. So I just kind of started plugging in there. And that's when I met everybody, like in Vancouver, like a lot of friends that I still have to this day. So that transition was smooth, but then Instagram was fun, but now it's kind of like, it's just, there's so much information now. And, I've kind of like, I post what I what's going on, but I'm not on there as much anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. Was it like was there a transition for you in terms of like gravitating from sort of the MySpace platform?
MySpace to
because I asked because it's something that like I never, like I remember when MySpace came out.
Yeah.
I remember when Facebook came out.
Right.
I'm showing my age here. And I kind of engaged a little bit, but the social media thing was something that I struggled with a lot. And
Right. I
when
still do. I'm like,
when I was in theater school,
Yeah.
they told me like everyone, you need to have a social media account. You
Right.
need to have a social media account.
Yeah.
Because if there's a role going for, whatever,
Right.
Job, this is the character that we're casting.
Yeah.
And it's left between two actors, and one of the actors has 10,000 followers on Instagram,
Right.
and one of them doesn't have an Instagram account. They're going to hire them with 10,000 followers on Instagram.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I am a currently non-working actor,
Right.
because of that. I just couldn't do it. It was social media was a struggle for me. Did you find?
I think for me, yeah, the whole image thing of having to always put your face on things, and people I think they assume that I'm like that, but actually my personality is much more, I'd rather be behind the camera. And even though I'm the lead vocalist, my personality is I want to figure out behind the scenes what's going on. And so I really struggled with that actually as a solo artist, of always having to push myself and always having to put my face on everything and be about the image and not about the music, right? So that was a struggle for me at that time period, yeah. But I've learned to grow into it and realize that it's just a tool, and that it's standard in a way, and that it's like your resume, it's like your business card,
totally.
Essentially, but it's not everything. And that's just, it's kind of like the way you present something like a appetizer. If you fluff it up a bit, might taste better, or people might gravitate towards it,
Right.
more, but then they actually get to taste what you're making. So that's what kind of music is, in that form for social media in a sense. But it is like a lot of highlight reels, and it's like one-dimensional in many ways.
Do you feel like there's a difference between like who you are as an artist and who you are as like is there? Do you feel like you need to present yourself, your artist self, and your self differently, or are they more one and the same?
Definitely one and the same.
Definitely one and the same.
Yeah, but that's taken me time to learn to just be who I am, and like,
Right.
Yeah, because obviously throughout high school and all those like growing pains and everything, but no, I feel like music's just a part of my being and who I am and how I operate, and it's been more of the other things. Like I've always had a job besides music too, as well. Mm-hmm. Like music just has always been my constant and in my air and my nutrients, and it just flows through me, and it's what I came here to do and share. But it's been the other things that I've had to really work at, like the healing journey that I've been on, and having had cancer and growing through that, and and just kind of going through the healing realm in many senses. Yeah, and marrying those two worlds, and marrying like all the things that I do and all the different hats that I wear, and just realizing that I'm okay to show up as my full self.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to that kid hiding behind music?
Oh my goodness. To the person that's feeling alone and like in their closet.
Yeah.
Share what you came here to, share who you are, share what you create. Life is finite, so you never know how long we're here. You're meant to share your gifts with the world, and it essentially helps others. You never know who you're going to help. Like you never know, so, or you never know who is going to heal along with you. I just think that it's so important to share whatever's in your heart while we're here.
I think it's beautiful that you said share, because I'm often like in any art form, like stand-up comedy,
right.
Literature, it's always the most personal, like when people are like, there's that one little bit where they're almost overexposing themselves,
right?
And it's that vulnerability of being like, there's this piece of me that I shouldn't share. but I do
Exactly.
share.
Oh.
And I think those are the points of connection that we relate to the most when artists, because it's like we ask a lot of art. We ask like expose this, right? But I think it's that sentiment of, especially for when you're talking about, my original question was, what advice would you give to that kid that's afraid? You said share, right?
Yeah.
And that's like the pieces of us that we feel most guarded about.
Definitely.
Are quite often the pieces of us that are the most beautiful.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I'm with you on that.
And it's neat to see people have that's one of the things why I feel so blessed about, what I do for a living, right? I get to, I'm exposed to so many different musicians on a daily basis,
right,
who are coming in and just sharing their art and their craft, and it's a really fantastic thing to see day in and day out.
It's incredible, truly.
Yeah. And how long have you been singing there? At Guild? How long have you been singing?
Oh my goodness. I would say like right when we were a young band, so probably over a decade ago. Yeah, it was.
Decade.
Yeah, wow. Decade. It's crazy.
Yeah. Are we getting old?
No.
Okay, cool.
I mean, it's okay to get old.
I won't tell
it's a honor to get old, but I feel like we're just, for me personally, I'm just growing more into myself, and age is just a number. Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
So what's 100%. Next for you?
Oh my goodness. I'm just like trying to be in the moment, and I don't know if there is a next. It's just more of like, just doing what I do. I don't know. Just being.
And when is the
momming really hard, and
mom. I'm momming hard, bro.
I'm momming so hard.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tip my hat to that. But so you've got Star Captain's material.
Yeah.
Coming up next year. You guys gonna release a full album, or are you just gonna do the single thing?
Yeah, we're still in discussion about that. We're still just letting it come and letting it flow. So we're hoping to release something, by next year, for sure.
But are you gonna do it like a couple tracks at a time, or are you gonna release a full album?
We're gonna hopefully do a full album, because it's kind of like New Freedoms was kind of like the birth of things. Light Work was like the coming into actualizing everything, and like and then this one is the rebirth. So
and have you guys been writing together, or is it more like
we've been writing together,
passing the puck back and forth?
We were doing that while he was away, like Jim was away. But now we're writing together, and
Do you find that you write from a different place than you did like 10 years ago?
Oh yeah,
like
totally.
Like
through just life experiences,
pre and post mother, like pre and
my
post
gosh,
losing your mom, like
my heart is just like broken wide open. And anytime my heart has been broken and shattered, I know that it's like, as hard as it is, it's like an opportunity to grow. And it's because my analogy is that your heart was just needing to grow more. And so it outgrew that space, that casing, and it needed to break. In order to let a little more light in. Because when that happens, everything is amplified. All the good that happens, the small gestures of kindness are like amplified, in those moments. So, yeah.
That's beautiful. Cheers.
Cheers to that.
No, I got nothing in there.
Oh,
cheers. We'll do
okay.
cheers with this one.
Yeah.
Better.
Yes.
So you have got Star Captains coming up next year.
Yes.
But you're also, your next show at Guilt, I believe, is New Year's Eve.
It is.
And like we mentioned earlier, it's the fourth. Is it the fourth time you've done that show?
I think it's the fourth time.
With you, and you've done it with
the same crew.
Same crew.
Yeah.
You
Same
and Dawn
fam.
Pemberton. Dawn Pemberton. We've also shout out to Dawn. We've had her on the podcast as well.
Dawn. Yeah.
Amazing singer.
Incredible singer.
And you guys fucking tear the house down.
It's just so much fun.
And it's such a cool night. It's such a cool night.
Such a vibrant
because
night.
I hate New Year's Eve.
You do?
I fucking hate it.
Why?
Because it's always a letdown.
Is that because you're expecting too much though?
Maybe. So, but like I've worked it
right
for the last, I don't know, however many years. I don't think I've had a New Year's Eve off since I was in my 20s.
Damn. Wow.
Which was like only 5 minutes ago. But the first year that Paul and I worked together,
right?
Paul Clark, we decided that we wanted to do just like a no tickets, just business as usual.
Okay.
Really great band, New Year's Eve show.
Right.
And that's the first year that we had you guys in, I think. I don't know who did it. I don't know if it was you that did it first or Dawn that did it first, or if you guys did it first together.
I'm not sure, actually. Yeah. Yeah.
But it was, it turned into this thing where you guys do the show, and there's always a couple musicians that show up from their other New Year's Eve gigs,
which is the best. And then they jump
on stage.
And that's
and
my
like
favorite part.
The end of the night is like, there's like just a whole bunch of musicians in the room who have just all come together, and it makes me feel like it makes me feel special as the guy who gets to run that place.
Yeah, you should feel special.
Having all those musicians come in and being like, "This is where I'm ending my night on New Year's Eve after my gig at the Vancouver club."
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's where everyone comes to. It's the heart of the city.
Yeah,
it's
fun. It's fun to be like. Not only are we a bar that plays music every night,
right?
We're a bar that musicians like to go to when they're not playing, which is something that's really
true stories here.
Because it's like you're wanting to be here when you're not playing, because this is where it's happening.
Yeah.
And yeah, I can't talk enough about the caliber of art that comes through there, which you are a big part of.
We're so lucky. Even having the Space Studios, it's like I'm meeting artists that I never get to meet. Same with Guilt & Co. Just having these spaces are so important for us to discover new. It's endless talent, really. It's endless, like, gifted humans and beautiful humans in Vancouver, and I feel like the world needs to know about it, because it's just, I'm consistently blown away by the musicianship and also just the hearts that are within Vancouver.
And there's so many cool like artists that I think that there's not enough recognition about the Vancouver scene that originated elsewhere. Like there are there's a lot of different artists that aren't from Vancouver, that are from places all over the world that now live in Vancouver, and they're amazingly talented.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of really neat stuff happening throughout the city, and it's cool. And shout out to Paul Clark for bringing.
Shout out to Paul Clark. We love you, bro.
Bringing a little bit of that into Guilt & Co.
Definitely. Yeah.
So you're like, what would you say like your biggest influences were in terms of like
growing up?
Growing up, and you're.
Oh my goodness! What era? Like what time period?
Well, we've talked about Nirvana. We've talked about
Nirvana,
Biggie and Tupac.
Obviously, it's been I think in every genre there's like a soundtrack for part of my life in every genre. So, initially I think it was when I was little. It was always like Janet Jackson and Michael Jackson, and because I just loved to dance and sing.
Yeah.
And then it transitioned into like Nirvana and the hip hop era. And then when I got older, it was like Erykah Badu. It's always been artists who speak their truth and not only share their music, but share their heart and their art and message, like music. And I think that's a big part of why Star Captains, like a lot of our music has a message. And yeah.
Do you write all the lyrics for Star Captains?
Yes. Yeah.
They're all yours?
Actually, Lightwork, we kind of did a collaborative thing. It was such a cool experience. But I've always gravitated towards poetry and writing, and that's definitely my main thing.
Do you find do you write poetry differently than you write lyrics?
100%.
Yeah. See, I think a lot of people just think that they're the same thing, and I'm like, they're not the same thing.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you write poetry?
I wrote poetry for years.
Really?
For years, and I stopped. Like I used to write a lot, and then I stopped writing almost totally when I was about 28.
Why? Why'd you stop?
I was in a relationship with someone who read all my journals when I was at work,
Oh, I felt that one.
and she
I have so many journals, so I know. Oh my goodness, that's
she wrote
like
some pretty terrible things, and she like took them to my friends and tried to show them to my friends, and I just got a little scarred, and I never wrote again.
Oh my gosh. That's like, I can't. That's like, you never do that. That goes beyond, wow. So and that's what stopped you from.
I mean, I still do write some, but it's
Okay,
like,
I hope you do.
it's a hard muscle for me to rework. Yeah, I have.
Like it's crazy how powerful words can be, like whether they're positive or negative and how they affect us. Like it's so
Although
important.
I did receive a really beautiful gift in response to it. My sister went to India around the same time.
Right.
And I remember going to her and explaining to her what happened, and she was like, "Brandon, that's not okay." Like, and she brought me back a journal, and she bought me a journal in India, and she inscribed it with "Your words make me smile." So that was,
oh my gosh,
that was pretty sweet.
That's amazing. That is so sweet.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I hope you start writing again. I would love to read your poetry.
My question is like,
yes.
you've said you've always gravitated towards poetry.
Yeah.
And songwriting.
Yeah.
Lyric writing. Did one lead into the other, or are they two completely separate things for you?
I wouldn't call them separate. They're just different forms of expression, and it depends how I'm feeling in that moment. Yeah. Songwriting, I've always had songs stuck in my head. I'm like, oh, what is this in my head? I got to get it out. Ever since I was little. And then poetry was more like, I don't know, I just let things flow, and it's just, it's more free form, I find. Mm-hmm. Whereas like songs it's like you're trying to figure out the puzzle. Where the song's there, you just need to uncover it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much.
Yeah.
I love like the idea that you didn't write the song, you found the song.
Mm-mm. Or sometimes my other theory is that, I don't know if you believe in like a higher power or just like that we come from somewhere else. I've always thought it to be like, because I used to be a big perfectionist. Like back in the day, I was like, I have to get this song right. It's not right. This is what I heard it in my head. Yeah. And now I'm like, oh, it's because you heard the song prior when you were in the stars or whatever you want to call it, in the divine. And it was perfect, like beyond perfect. And now here in the human form, in the physical realm, you're trying to recreate the song that you heard, that you're remembering, and you're trying to put it back together, and it will never be that, because that's like in a completely beautiful, like 360 high vibrational state, the highest vibe ever. So that's my analogy for that. I'm like, oh, it must be because you're always trying to get it right. Like hear what you heard in heaven or whatever, in the stars.
Do you find the same with poetry, or?
Poetry, for me is like, I can do anything and it's just going to be what it is. Like, it's not me trying to uncover anything. It's just me it's like almost freestyling, And that's kind of how I write, actually. And maybe that's from growing up, like loving hip hop, and I'm going to freestyles, and I really loved to like flow back in the day. But that's kind of how I write songs now too, is that it's just more of like, I also call it channeling. So it's just me allowing whatever to come through, and like not judging anything. There's no wrongs, like there's no bad idea. You just let it flow. And that's the beauty about, I think creation is that's exactly what it is it's not being afraid to be wrong. It's just throwing whatever is coming out of you, and that's, and having fun doing it. That's the most important thing. Cause I think when we get so in our head, it just like stops the magic a bit, because you're trying to control everything, right? Even on stage, it's like, sometimes I'm like, oh, you guys are so in your head. Like I crave to like get out of my head and out of my body and just be present and just be in that moment, whether it's wrong, whether I say the wrong thing or I hit the wrong note, doesn't matter. And that's the beauty of performing live and just living and just being in the moment.
Well, I think you but like hit the nail on the head there. We said like being afraid to be wrong. Yeah. And I think that it's something that like, something that I'm one of my acting teachers when I was in theater school told me, like, you artists can't afford to be perfectionists. You can't do it. You can't. Wow.
Can't afford to be trying to make it all perfect.
You can't afford to be perfectionist, and that like the ability to be wrong. Yeah. To make a mistake, to do it like to do it to fail. And I think some of the most beautiful art comes from that attitude
Definitely.
of being like,
to be
the
fearless.
freedom to fail.
Yeah.
Having the freedom to
Anything
fail.
goes.
And
You're
you can
in
fall
a
flat on your face.
Yes.
And wake up with something really beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think that
You might discover something beautiful on the floor.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Because the floor might be beautiful.
Right? You might find something there. So
We're gonna sign off on the beautiful floor.
all right, let's do it.
I'm gonna do one of these guys. So to recap,
Yeah.
we can see you
Yes.
December 31st.
Yes.
At Guilt & Co. Do you have any other gigs in between?
I'm playing this weekend with Day, Ebony Empress.
At
Tyrant.
At Tyrant.
Yeah.
I'm going to that show. I'm on the guest list.
Amazing.
Sweet.
Perfect. I'll
Awesome.
see you there.
I don't think this episode will be out in time, but
Okay.
So fuck you, everybody. I'm going to the show, and it was sweet. It was an awesome
amazing.
show. That's dope. You're playing that show.
Yeah.
Sweet. Are you like opening and headlining? What's the format? Are
There's
you
two
playing
other
solo
openers. There's three of us. I've known Day forever, and we just have this love for each other. It was
She's
one of
dope.
those
I haven't had her on yet.
You have to.
We're gonna get her on. Yeah.
She's badass.
Yeah, she's dope.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm excited, and it's her release of her
Yeah, it's her album release, right?
her album release or single release for
Yeah.
Imperfect. Yeah,
Cool.
shouts out to Day.
Shouts out today. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Awesome. Cheers. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you
This was
for
fun.
having me. This was a lot of fun. Blessings.